Good morning, traders. This is Parrot Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 8:41 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday, December 4th. So the title of my video is supposed to be NFP for non-farm payroll, trend day or chop day, question mark, 12-04-2020, because today is the 4th. So originally when I posted the video, I had the date on the 3rd. So if you're watching this video not live or not today, it is from Friday the 4th, not from Thursday the 3rd. So just to clear that up. So looking at the ES and where we're at right now, I'm only showing bell to bell trading here, but if you can see the quote up here, it's at 76 quarter. If we look, I have a longer term profit target that I've been tracking basically since September 2nd. That target's up to 37.38. We'll see if that comes into play or not. Either today or Monday. I think that right around 37.10 to 37.15 will be the first milestone to get over if we do indeed move to the upside today. That's the area that you're going to watch between 37.10 and 37.15. So barring if you get something going later in the day, it'll be 37.38. Non-farm payroll did come in a little bit lighter than expected. There were participants that left the labor force that made the unemployment number go down, but it was because of a lack of participation, not because there's so many more people working. So with all that said, and looking at this, let's zoom into where we are now. We'll show that upside profit target. I don't necessarily think we're getting up there today to that 37.38. Like I said, just getting up to basically, that 37.10 level would be an achievement today, in my opinion. So looking at for the downside, right? Just really watching yesterday's low, and I think to the downside, we'll just keep this within a 100-point range. I think right around 36.15 would be a low that I would like to really try to participate in if it trades later today. There are some minor supports before then, but 37.15 would be a blind limit for me with probably about a 12-point stop on the ES. So you'll have to manage your risk accordingly, but that's where I'll be limiting, if indeed we do flush down there. And that low would have to be made before, 335. I'm not interested in really participating in the market much after that for the day. So looking at the more recent action and what we've seen here, looking at those level fours again, 37.18, and that's why I like that, 37.10 to 37.15 as an upper side limit today. And down at S4 is 36.11. That's why I like my 36.15 as a limit, with really just giving up, basically down to, just above 3,600 for that to take. Whether it does or not, that's where I'd like to dive in if we go to extremes. So looking back at there, so trend or chop day is really what I had in mind. So on any of these big news days, whether it's FOMC in the afternoon on the Wednesdays when they appear, or non-farm payroll, I like to really watch the first 30 minutes of action when it trades. I would like to watch the high and the low until you cross over either above that high for the first 30 minutes or below the low for the first 30 minutes. It's kind of chopped, so that's where you can judge if it's going to be choppy and inside or not. And if you get above that 30-minute high, within an hour you shouldn't see it back there again, right? So 2 bars later, that top should be secure, and the same with the low. If you're going to trend, 1 hour later or 2 bars later, forgive me if I misspoke at the top, but you should be trending if it's going to be a trending day down, right? And you can have trending days. Don't look for reversion to the mean. necessarily on a day like this. We've been consolidating for a while, so if we do get a break, it's likely that it's not going to come back, to the halfway back long for the day at the end of the session, right? So if you're holding on, don't be holding on. Just take small risk with some with your reward of at least 2.5 to 3 to 1. And if you don't see that opportunity, just sit on the sidelines. So looking at all the indexes and really what I've got marked out here, you can see, inside the value area, inside the value area, inside the value area, and a little bit above the value area for the Dow, right? So far we're just inside, and again, watch these 30-minute bars. You get 3 of these 4 that are, starting to try to pop one way or another after 9 o'clock. That's going to be more important than just a little, wiggling back around within the high and the low that we've already set right now. Looking at some little sequences, I'm just going to really skip over these for the most part today. I'm not going to count this spike, but if you look at it, the longs have been, in control. All this was a little stop run here, so nothing to see so far for the ES. For the NASDAQ, very similar picture, right? It's a little bit more of a short trade, right? The shorts are in control a little bit more than the bulls so far overnight for the NASDAQ so far. And looking at the Russell, right, it is the longs that are more dominant, under a microscope. So looking at the NASDAQ, and really I just have 12,496 is a level I added that's kind of loose, right? So above or below that level, is a little bit of a bias line, and it's not that hard of a bias line, right? You can see that was clearly resistance overnight. We chopped through it yesterday afternoon, right? Overnight again, it's been resistance, then support. Now we'll see what it ends up being, after that. Below here, I've got 12,457. Below that, I've got 1396.50. I don't think we're getting this today, but if it does, that's going to be probably a pause for the cause area. And then if we do get trending down, right, 12,334 quarter, I wouldn't look for any more downside action than that on an extreme read, and I don't think that's really on the table. We'll look at the level 4s for all these in just a minute. Let's look at the Russell next, if I can type. So the Russell, I've got 1856.80, 1855, or 1850.5, 1850 half, and then 1839.60. You can see that 1839.60 really stuck, yesterday during that, that fake headline that crossed out where the, if for those of you don't know what happened yesterday, the Wall Street Journal printed an article of why Pfizer reduced the delivery in half for the vaccine. But this was news that was released 3 to 4 weeks ago, right? They were just explaining it for the general public yesterday of why their forecast went down from 100 million doses that were going to be available to 50 million doses this year. And they were explaining that. Well, the algos had some fun with that yesterday, right? Ripped it down, ripped it up. I was really looking to fade this. If we could we're down near the bottom of this between 4:30 and 5. I like to take fade positions during that time for the the next session as a partial, a third, or a half of an entry on a position. That is a risk that I'm willing to take. That I don't advise everyone that if you don't understand lock limits and what your total exposure is, not to play that game. But when you see an extreme read, it was bullshit. It's likely to go. But we had already faded back up to the halfway back short before the session closed. So I had no interest in playing in the middle of the range. So you can see in the middle of the night, right, we just kind of shook around, right? Then we come up here, we hit this resistance, flirted around it, and now it looks like the market has decided, right? We've traded lower. We stopped out these traders. Now we're moving higher so far for the Russell. Last but not least, we'll eyeball the Dow here. So the Dow's a little bit sloppier for me right now. So 29,904, 29,967, and 30,051 are the levels that I'm really paying attention to for, size and position. So you can see it was flirting around this 30,051, and you can probably take it down to 40 as a level for today. And then you can see that up to 70 is really where the majority of the meat was spent. We're still right in between that 40 to 70 range right now for the Dow. So above there, you got 30,165 was the previous all-time high. So look for that. People sold there before, traders did, so that would be resistance again to the upside. Lower, I really don't think there's too much going on. So with that being said, let's look at those level 4s now, and we'll bring them up for all the indexes. We'll look at the upside and the downside targets of what I would consider extreme reads for the day. Remember, only 7 days a year, 7 trading days, do you really make substantial gains above or below these into the close. And what I mean by more than, a few points. So if you do get above there, usually it is a fade. You don't fade it just because of that, though. But what it is if you've rode it into those areas, right, you should be taking profits if you're able to do that. So these extremes are likely not to trade today, but you should know where they are anyways. So to the upside again, that's 37.18 to 37.33 basically. To the downside, 36.11 to 35.99. For the NASDAQ, 12,231.50 to 12,269.75. To the upside, 12,654.75, 12,712.75. For the Russell, 1893.40 to 1905.60. To the downside, 1801 to 1790. For the Dow, 29,460 to 29,356. So the upside, 30,404 to 30,536. Again, look for the R2s and R3s as more of a play. And I can't emphasize this enough. Watch that 30-minute bar until you see 3 of the 4 either going under the bar or over that bar after 9 o'clock. Just sit on your hands. It's chop unless you want to play chop. All right. I hope this helps. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll be back at it on Monday.